Alright, so last day of January. So this video is going to serve a few purposes. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go back into some of the things that I channeled for January and see what I got right, what I got wrong. Then I'm going to play the clip of what I said for February in my yearly reading. Now all of this is going by what I said in my yearly reading in the 2021 prediction channel video. Now right before I started channeling, basically the first thing my guides had me say was that, to keep in mind that the timelines, they may bleed a little bit, right? So like if I say this is for January, that doesn't mean it can't happen at the end of December or even the beginning of February. There's some bleed over there. They don't give it to you like by the calendar. So I had to keep that in mind when I was going over things, because there was one thing that I definitely hit on, but it actually happened in December. So, alright, so I've got my laptop here. I'm going to sort of read off a couple of the things that I feel like I did or I didn't get. It's open to interpretation, right? I'm not, the type of predictions I give are not hard and fast, set in stone, with the exception of a couple of things. So there may be some things you disagree with both ways, whether you think I got it or I didn't get it. This is just, like I said, this was my first time doing a channeling video like that in terms of a yearly prediction. So I'm sort of learning about the accuracy right along with you guys. So the first thing that I said for January, I'm reading here what I went back this morning and listened to it, that the January would be a waiting for conclusions, resolutions, and that you should have no expectations of any new real information. We're going to get into that a little bit here, because that is definitely a theme in terms of, conclusions and resolutions, because there is definitely a portion of the population that, despite the fact of what we actually physically saw on the 20th, there's a portion of the population, a rather sizable one, that still believe that there's more to be revealed, that there's something else going on. For those of you who believe that, you know what I mean. I don't want to get this video banned. So we'll leave that part over here. That definitely has applied in January. I talked about the two sides splitting into 3 and 4 sides. And that I feel was an absolute hit. And because, the two sides being, for one candidate and for the other candidate, we'll just put it that way. With everything that went down at the Capitol, there was a definite split on the right-hand side. Okay, there was a definite split between people who felt like that didn't go far enough and that was something that needed to happen, and also people that were on the right but thought that was what happened on the Capitol was absolutely terrible and should never happen. So as soon as that happened, the right was basically split in half, with people fighting back and forth and stabbing each other in the back, and some people switching sides and going to the other side. That definitely, absolutely, clearly happened. Now, as far as the split on the left, I think that is an emerging type of thing. Overwhelmingly on the 20th, the left was pretty much, happy and content with the way things have gone. But there are some things that are starting to wake some people up on the left. First of all, the progressives, the ones that, I don't even want to use the word extreme, but they've got a different point of view to things. They're not pleased at all with what Biden has been doing, and the virus, which is what I kind of talked about, where I thought the split would be. People are starting to realize that even though they're happy that it got rid of Trump, that the virus was just used to get rid of Trump. All of a sudden, within the first few days of Biden getting inaugurated, all these states decide they're going to open back up. The WHO changes the procedure that considers that you have a positive test so that there will be significantly fewer positive tests. And, you'd have to be, you could be happy that Trump is gone, but there's still people that are happy he's gone, but are also saying, hey, this is awfully convenient now that all of a sudden, this virus is everything around it is changing, and it has really nothing to do with anything other than, Trump being gone, and now we don't have to play this silly game that we've played for a while. So there's definitely there's definitely a split in the right, and there's definitely on the left a split that is beginning to emerge, twofold, between people that don't think Biden is going to be progressive enough, and people that are waking up to the fact that the virus was used politically. I mean, there's no denying that at this point. It's been clear as day to the right for some time, and now people on the left are starting to see what we were talking about. Okay. The thing that I feel like I definitely got to, a couple of things here. The thing that happened in December. Now, I put out this video before Christmas. It was a few days or a week before Christmas. I'd have to look back at the date that I did the actual channeling video. But the Christmas Day bombing in Nashville. Now, what I had said was that something was going to burn down that was going to cause a loss of function. Well, the bombing caused the place to burn up, and you had cellular. I'm reading here. You had cellular, wireless, wired telephone, internet, U-verse television services were affected. Multiple 911 and non-emergency phone networks in the region, along with Nashville's COVID-19 hotline, hospital systems, and they even had the Memphis Air Route Traffic Control Center experienced communication issues where they had to ground flights for a period of time. So there was definitely something that burned down that caused a loss of function. I know that when I was saying that, everything was kind of being taken from the POV of, the political issues and everything like that. Now, there were definitely people that felt that there was actually a political, part to that bombing, where, they felt like there was maybe some evidence of things that maybe got destroyed in that fire. We don't have proof of anything one way or another. I'm just going by what I said. I said something was going to burn, it was going to cause a loss of function. I think that bombing sort of qualifies there. If you disagree, that's okay too. The one thing I don't have yet, there's still more to come, but I just want to get to this now. The man with the dark hair. I saw him multiple times throughout the reading, and towards the summer I divulged who I thought it might be. The man with the dark hair did not appear to make a speech in front of the Capitol. But when I look at what I said about the Capitol, I'm going to get into that, it appears to me as though I was combining multiple things into one event. Multiple things that I was getting visions into one event. Because I was seeing the burnt out buildings, and when I saw the pictures of the Nashville bombing, it just like I got goosebumps immediately because I'm like, that's what I saw. I know that's what I saw. So, but I was combining that with this man giving this speech at the Capitol around the inauguration time, and I knew that something was going to happen around the Capitol, and I'll get into that. So I think I kind of combined all of those episodes. Now, the man with the dark hair, I felt like this was somebody that was important, that was emerging, that was sort of in control behind the scenes. My gut still tells me that person's still going to emerge. I clearly didn't get the timing exactly right, but I just have this little gut feeling back in there that some way, somehow, that this person will emerge. But as of now, he hasn't, unless I've missed him, unless somebody who watches this, if you saw a speech from a man, not just with dark hair, but I described him as like the clean cut politician look, the way Karen has been asking me, I've been saying, think Marco Rubio. That kind of polished look with the haircut and the pressed suit and the whole thing. That's the person I saw. So it's not Mike Lindell. Okay, we'll go there. So that person has not emerged yet that I have seen. Now, when I was talking about the issues around the Capitol, I felt like there would be these burnt out buildings and this person would be giving the speech. And that's why I feel like I was combining things, because the other thing that I said was that somebody important would be dead from a blunt force trauma. And, you know, when I said it, you know, again, taking everything from the point of view of you're thinking who you know who is important, it didn't cross my mind, but the Capitol police officer that was killed at the Capitol was basically killed by blunt force trauma because he got smashed with a fire extinguisher. So, an argument could be made that I didn't get that one, but I feel pretty confident. It was a general thing, right? It's not like I'm not saying I came out here and said, "Hey, Capitol police officer is going to," but I said, let me see how I worded it. I said, someone important would be dead from a blunt trauma. And as we know, there was nothing that happened that was more important, basically, to what happened the rest of the month than what happened at the Capitol. D.C. is still under, basically, martial law because of what happened that day, because that officer was killed, and he was killed basically with blunt trauma. So, you know, I know it sounds like I'm coming on and saying I got most of the things right, and if somebody wants to disagree, I'm okay with that. But I'm just, you know, I've been keeping track all month. I went back today and double checked some things, and other than this guy with the dark hair, you know, I've at least got stories here that can make a case for what I got. I said I wouldn't want to be in D.C. around the inauguration. Well, I don't even think you could get into D.C. about the time of the inauguration. So, you know, again, it's one of those things that when I said it, you might have thought it meant violence and everything, and we did have violence, but, and maybe, you know, we would have had violence had the National Guard not been there, obviously. So, but as far as not wanting to be in D.C., I definitely wouldn't have wanted to have been in D.C. because they were checking IDs coming and going. So, not for the reasons that you would have thought when I said it, but it still ended up kind of accurate. Now, when I got to the point in January where I talked about how you could kind of take whatever happened in January and take it and turn it into a positive. This is the part where, for those of you who still believe, this is what I'm about to say here is almost going to significantly contradict what I say for February. But we'll get into that. But what I said is, in January, what you were going to need to do was practice a learned patience that is beyond the normal patience that you would normally have. And to think back into a time in your life where you have stayed the course and had patience and waited for something to play out, and then it paid off. Now, I am fully aware of how that sounds to a certain segment of the population, considering what they believe. It is blizzarding outside. My window is open. And I mean, it is coming down in cats and dogs and cows is awesome. Snow, I should say. Yeah, well, I said blizzard. That's a snow, dummy. So, what I said there at the end even gave me pause, because after the whole thing happened on the 20th, I was never a big believer of any of it. I followed along, and I certainly feel like that a story could be woven one way or another in terms of why the military is still in D.C., why they were there, what the hell is going on. I think there's enough evidence that you could look regardless of what you believe, you could probably paint a picture right now and pick out little things, 5 of the 12 things that are happening. I mean, yeah, but look at these 5 things. This proves my theory. And we're seeing a lot of that right now. And look, I'll get into what I said for February after I'm going to show the clip. But when I went back in and I listened to January, and then I listened to what I said about practicing patience, I really felt like, okay, I'm going to need to go back and rechannel February, because I want to see where my mindset is now that we kind of know what happened in January. But then when I listened to what I said in February, I was just an abject, because I forget what I said, right? I don't remember most of the things I say. I have to go back and watch, because when I'm channeling, I don't remember. So as I was listening to it this morning, I was realizing that now I understand why I've been so frustrated these last couple of weeks. Now I get it, why certain things have been hitting me, where I just kind of want to like Tom Hanks in League of Their Own. It's like there's no crying in baseball and he's holding himself back. That's how I have felt these last couple of weeks since the inauguration. Because since summer I have been saying the same thing. I said it in February's reading. I'm going to play it here in a second. But the bottom line is, I'm telling you that both sides are being played, and every time I say that, I know there's somebody that is watching that is saying, not my side, and I keep saying, yes, your side. That's what the word all means, okay? When I say all sides, both sides, everybody's being played one way or another. And I know, I completely grasp the fact that nobody wants to hear that right now. How do I know? Because I keep losing subscribers and nobody's watching my videos. So that's how I know, okay? That nobody wants to hear it. Everybody wants to have the same hope that they've had. And I understand that. So I am going to play now what I said for February. I said this, I don't know, must have been a week before Christmas or so, whenever it was. I'm going to play that now and come back, and then we'll discuss what I said and what I feel about it now, and if my guides want to give me any fresh information. February is the worst month. Chaos, confusion, inability to have clear foresight, questions you thought were answered and need revisiting, frustration. I'm almost afraid to check with these guys. We're going to get blasted in February, bombarded. Every possible angle. A lot of weather events. A lot of weather, natural disaster type things in February. Snow, mudslide somewhere in February. Mudslide due to an earthquake. The earthquake doesn't cause a tremendous amount of problem, but somewhere there's a mudslide. It kills a lot of people. I'm seeing a number, but I'm not clear on it, so I don't want to give it. It's not in the United States. I'm picking up that it might be somewhere in Asia. All right, what else? Okay, that's interesting. You know that feeling when if you've ever been to like a small town carnival, and you park in some cow pasture, right, or a cornfield, and you go at night because there's nothing else to do, and you walk up, and here's the midway, right? And the midway is, if you're lucky, and I mean if you're really lucky, it's the size of a football field. And you've got like, 5 or 6 rides, and you've got the games, and you've got the food, and you've got the lights. and you've got all these different people that are from a completely different place than you are, right? You know, because the carnival travels. But that feeling, when you first get to the cusp of the midway, and especially if they have it like in a U shaped, you know, where you're walking in and you've got stuff on the sides and then coming this way. That feeling of, wow, there's all this different stuff. I don't know where to start first. But you're not afraid of it. But it's just all different. That's February. Now, so you're going to need to view life like it's a carnival, okay? Because don't be afraid. If you look at all these changes and all these new things that are coming, with fear, you are going to get run over like a Mack truck. You're just going to get hit. Those 4 sides that I talked about in February, they're gonna start widening, and the gap that was inside of each side is going to narrow. So each side, the 2 sides are going to widen, but they're going to come together on an individual basis a little bit more, not completely. But you have already chosen your side at that point. I mean, the reason for them splitting and then coming together within their own sides is because neither side is happy or content with the results of how things go. Nobody's happy with it. But the general feeling amongst everybody, if there's one thing that everybody agrees upon, is that this needed to happen. This something is coming in the context of almost everybody looking back and saying, you know what, we kind of knew that this needed to happen. We could kind of see, especially now with hindsight, we can look back and see like, yeah, you could see that this needed to happen, this was coming. But there's still these 2 huge different sides of disagreement on how to move forward. And there's that guy with the dark hair again. There's a guy with dark hair, and he seems to be in control. He seems to be in the power. I'm getting conflicting information because I'm hearing something from my guides, but then my brain is also running away with something I heard some other astrologer say. So I'm going to save that until it comes back in. The biggest thing for February is that you're going to have to stand outside in a hailstorm and love the hail. You're like, I'm so glad I'm getting hit with this hail. Because it's going to be that kind of month. It's going to be that kind of month where if you don't recognize that the chaos has a purpose, if you don't have to recognize what the purpose is, but you need to understand that this permanent hailstorm has a purpose. I'm going to go outside and stand in the hail because I know there's a purpose, rather than being afraid of the hail and trying to lock yourself in a closet away from it. If you don't engage with the changes, you are going to be left behind. You're going to be left behind. And both sides are not 100% pleased with what's going on. But at the same point, pretty much everybody's like, even people that would consider themselves enemies on both sides are kind of looking at each other like, oh, yeah, I can see why this is happening. We kind of screwed this up. So the sense I get from February is that the extremists on both sides kind of get an awakening that maybe some of the stuff that they believed was they were being played. February is going to wake a lot of people up that they were being played. And if you try to mold that to only one side and still think my side's not being played, you're going to have a rough month. I know we all have a tendency, I know a lot of people that resonate with me tend to have one point of view. So I wouldn't say it if I wasn't getting it. Everybody in February, if you're going to want to get through February, you're going to need to be ready to eat some crow. You're going to need to be ready to say, well, shit, I might have been wrong. I guess that wasn't true. Both sides. But if you if you are still in February going to plant that foot down, regardless of what you've seen happen, and see people that you were agreeing with say, guys, look, we're kind of getting lied to here. We need to come together. If you're going to resist that, you're going to be alone really, really, really quick. You're going to be left behind. All right. For February, how to take something positive. Learning to truly let go of the need to know. To learn to mentally, spiritually prepare for the unknown by genuinely being okay regardless of the outcome. So this is still relinquishing control that your mind has and transfer it to your higher self. Yes, I agree with me yesterday. Exactly. Exactly what I've said. If you're going to still live here in February, regardless of what you're seeing, regardless of in here going, yeah, I might have been lied to and I don't want to admit it because that's going to mean what I'm going to have to admit that I may have been saying and preaching about and telling people about, and it might not have actually been so true. That's ego. That's just straight from here. You don't have to drop all that. But the good news is once you drop all that, you're free. Once, because for many people, that's the worst thing that they can think about happening, is having to admit that they were wrong. And once you get to a point where you're able to do that, you're free. It could be a very, very freeing month if you're willing to see it that way. All right, so see, that's one of those things where I know that there's people that don't want to hear it, right? And I get that. And I feel like I'm stuck in the middle between, we are trying to build a business, right? I mean, I'm doing the videos to build the business. And on the other hand, I feel like the message that I continue to get is a hard message that nobody wants to hear. So it's tough to build a business when you're telling people stuff they don't want to hear. I could come on and paint you a different story, but I'm just going to tell you how I feel. And this is going to take a couple of minutes. The first thing is the believing in the plan and what may or may not be happening. Now, I can certainly look and see that there's things that make it appear as though there's something going on. The military still being in D.C. being one of them. There's no way to look at any of it and prove one way or another that something is happening or that something's not happening. So anybody that's still believing, I get it, because you're looking at evidence and you're going, but how and why, and I understand that. But here's my point. regardless of which side you're on, okay? The dynamic, the possibility that you're being used is significant. Now, most people I know that are on the right, they feel like, the whole Black Lives Matter movement and everything that's going down there, and the left and how they use minorities and LGBTQ and all that community. I know most people on the right feel like those people are being used by the left for votes and to just get power. Okay? Now, the information that everybody is getting is still being allowed to be shown to us by the same people, by the same entities, by the same media outlets. And since the beginning of this virus, it has been extraordinarily clear that the goal is chaos and confusion. Okay? My opinion is that the right is being used as well, but just in a different way. You see, I've said this before. The plan, we'll just call it that, okay? The reasons that we would need a plan, I think most people agree in one shape or another, are pretty accurate. Okay? Just if you want to take it from the financial end of things and leave out some of the other beliefs, just from the financial end of things, both sides know the banks, the financial system, Wall Street, the way governments make money, loan money. I mean, this is crap. Both sides know that. Okay? So, just like with Black Lives Matter, and that there was real racism and real slavery and real discrimination, so there's something real, there's a reason for them to feel disenfranchised. Same LGBTQ community, minorities, women. Things have genuinely really happened. So there's evidence they can point at and be like, well, these are the things that happened, and this is why I believe that, and I believe that these are the good guys coming to help me, and those are the bad guys who are still going to come get me. And that's how those people are being used. The right sees the global financial situation, okay? And they see how the rules do not apply. The same rules do not apply to the people as they apply to the politicians. And people go back and forth with that because as long as their politician stays out of jail, they're okay with it. But the right has plenty of things to point to in terms of basically the entire breadth of humanity being financial slaves. Just that one point. That you can point to all sorts of different things and say, these are the reasons I believe what I believe. These people are coming to help me, and those people are coming to get me. But what we find ourselves now is left, the right. Nobody wants to be the one to say, well, I guess we were being used. Nobody wants to say that they were the ones being lied to about who was coming to help them. And that's the key part. Because in some ways, who is coming to get you, who the enemy is, who did things to you in the past, in some ways that's true. There's enough truth there that you can't completely discount it. But where both sides are being lied to is in the who's coming to help you, that there's somebody coming to help you, there's somebody coming to save you. Now, why do I say that? Because the information that feeds the narrative for the left, the information that feeds the plan, the narrative for the right, is coming from the same source. Your laptop, your TV, your phone, the wire or the wireless connection that you have, it's all coming from the same source. Whether they call it CNN or InfoWars, it's being allowed to be shown to you by the same source. And notice how they will only show you what divides you. Notice how you don't have any real exposure or facts that you can point to about aliens that would be beneficial in coming to us and giving us free energy that would end all of this garbage. You don't hear anything other than division. There's nothing that comes to the surface that would unite us. And when do you end up feeling united with somebody? How many times have you met with somebody that you know, and you met with them in real life like we used to before we got locked down? Okay, are you thinking about this yet? Before we got locked down, and we used to go places and meet people that we knew thought differently than us, believed differently than us. In reality, the longer we would talk with those people, the more we would come to realize we had about 80-90% in common, but there was some differences over here and some differences over there, and it don't really matter. I want you to think about something. The country, the United States, was formed. They fought a war against Britain for their independence. Okay? Half the people that fought believed in slavery. Half the people knew slavery was wrong. But they still banded together for one cause. So what does that prove? It proves that if left to their own devices and not fed constant, consistent outside propaganda, when people get together, they will bond together for a common cause and then work out their differences after they have given themselves the freedom to do so. But what we're seeing now is the complete fracture of all of that. These people hundreds of years ago believed, and it was real slavery then. They believed, yes, slavery, no slavery, but they still got together and worked. Now, people refuse to even speak to somebody who might believe that Trump was a good president, or that Biden's gonna, be too lenient and sell us out to China. Won't even speak to somebody. Oh my God, now Nazis. Not, that's it. I said the word, the video's banned. That's it. That's it. Oh well, I tried to get through a video without saying something that was gonna get me shadow banned, but too late. So I understand. I do understand. And truth be told, full disclosure, completely open book honesty, there is still a part of me that wants to look at it and go, well, the military is there. Well, there are all these little pieces of the puzzle. Maybe. I don't know. And that is the point. I don't know. You don't know. Nobody else knows. But what I'm seeing, and this is the part where I get agitated and aggravated about it, and I'm going to call him out, Patriot Street Fighter Scott McKay. I started watching him, and I can't watch him. And I'm going to tell you why. And I know some of you watch him, but it's become like a religion now. Okay, you go to church, they tell you you're a sinner if you do this. You're going to hell if you do this. Now, if you don't believe 100% what they're saying, and they get incredulous if you actually ask for evidence, all their evidence and all their sources is hush hush undercover. They have none. They just talk amongst themselves. But if you don't believe, you're not a patriot. You're a plastic patriot. You're a loser. Go away. Get the hell out of here. And if you can't see that that's just as much a part of the problem as anything the left is pushing around and trying to divide us, you need to have a good, strong talk with yourself about the energy that you actually want to put out there. Because I see it. And it's disheartening because I'm watching most of, I don't want to say most, in my feed, and the groups that I see, an overwhelming majority of the people that consider themselves Lightwork are in on the trust the plan end of it. And if you even come at them and say anything that might call into question, you are absolutely berated, you are called names, and basically booted out. I literally got booted out of one group just for asking questions. And I want you to tell me how that's different than what the left is trying to do. I want you to tell me how that's different. Because the only difference, you're going to say because you feel you have the truth on your side. But that's the same thing they're going to say. And this is what I've been telling people since summer. No, I don't know if I've gotten through to one person. I don't know. I asked that question on Facebook. I got no answer. I got no takers on that question. Because everybody just wants to hear what they want to hear right now. Nobody wants to hear the hard thing. And I said it. I'll be the first one. I tell you, if the plan ends up being true, I'll be the first video you see saying, holy crap, I was wrong. I'll happily make that video. Be happy to do it. But everybody right now, not only are they walking around knowing what they know, but now we've gotten to the point where we're going to disparage others for not believing in what they believe to be true. That it's gotten to the point that it's a religion. That if you don't believe, you're not welcome. You're not welcome over there. And for you people that have watched McKay, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And I'm not good with that. I'm not good with that. I couldn't do it anymore. Because, not because of the fact that nothing they've said was going to happen has happened yet. That's not even the part that bothers me. And it's not even the part where people are still like, yes, I believe. Believe what you want. But we've literally gotten to the point now where we are going to fracture the Lightwork community over what? What? Most of the people that became Lightworkers did so in part because organized religion and how they treated people that didn't believe exactly what the preacher was selling. And now we are doing the same thing within the Lightwork community. Same thing. Meanwhile, I'm just trying to build a business so I can get some readings, so I can eat. It ain't working, I'll be honest. It ain't working because I don't have the ability to be fake. I don't have the ability to come on here and tell you something that I don't believe. But I'm also not going to tell you that you're wrong for believing what you believe. If you trust the plan, you trust the plan. That's fine. But I would just ask that you pay attention to the energy you're putting out towards the people who don't. Or the people that you're watching, are you okay with how they're treating people that don't believe? Change the subject. If you were watching somebody who believed channeling was real, would you be okay if I was saying, you people that don't believe channeling is real, you just get off the channel because you don't have any faith? Would you be okay if I said that? No, you wouldn't. You wouldn't. Nobody would. You shouldn't. But there's a certain segment that is being so blinded by, it's like a half dozen people. Mike Adams, McKay, What's the guy's name? Simon Parks, Wilcox. That's 4. There's probably a few more. Monkey Works, I think, is the other guy's name. If you want to continue to believe what they're selling, with really no evidence, I mean, nothing what they've said has happened. All at this point, it's become, you have to believe or you're kicked out of the club. Literally, that's what McKay has been telling people. Then go on your own way. We don't want you here. You're not needed. Is that really what we're going to become now? Is that Lightwork now? Is that where we are? Really? So I don't want any part of that. That seems to me to be the opposite of what I came here to do. I'm here to try to help everybody, and all I'm seeing all over the place is further division, further division, further division. Karen wanted me to come on and make a softer tone video because, because apparently I lack the ability to not. and it's true. I don't have the ability to come on here and be fake. I don't have the ability to come on here and pretend to be something I'm not. And, that's just my truth. That's just my truth. All right. That's enough. If there's anybody left watching, I appreciate comments, suggestions, a stiff drink. And look, I'll say this. I know nobody knows more than me the desire to be that last holdout. To say, I'm right! And be able to look back at as many people and say, I told you so. Nobody understands that dynamic more than me. And had I not been getting this message since summer, 50% chance I'm right there with you with believing the plan. At least 50%. But I know what I've been told since summer. I know what I've been saying on videos. And either I'm being set up by spirit to be so ridiculously wrong that I have to come crawling back and tell everybody how wrong I was, or not. But I would do some deep inner work on who your sources are. Because I know who my sources are. Me, myself, I, and my grandfather, really, mostly. I know who my sources are. I trust my sources. Where are you getting your sources? Who are your sources for what you believe so much that you're willing to disparage other people if they don't believe? Where are you getting that information? Where are you getting those beliefs? Who are your sources? That's all. If you can genuinely sit there with yourself, you don't have to answer to me, but your own self, if you sit there and you know that you've channeled those answers, that you've gotten those answers from your guides and your spirit, okay. But if you're just taking the word of another human being who's telling you to believe or else, you tell me how that's different than a lot of the stuff that side say they're fighting. Believe or else. Isn't that what the whole left, isn't that what the right is complaining that the left is doing? Believe or else? So how's what's happening now with the plan any different? Because that's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing believe or else. Believe or get kicked out of our group. You tell me how it's different. Thanks for watching.